Hi everybody, it's the Rambling Toffee. I hope everyone's having a good Tuesday. I'm still battling with chest infection. As much as I'm talking okay and seems to be fine in that sense, I'm still not feeling 100%. So I'm trying to recover, trying to battle away and get through this. But anyway, I'm doing this video just, it continues, doesn't it? I've just been thinking about this last night. Since the 10-point deduction, and all the great work that the 1878 did, and Dave Kelly, Fab, and all fan groups and everybody else getting involved, putting the atmospheric march and also the protest in the stadium. It it was wonderful. It was inspiring to be there on Sunday. Forget about the result. Well, I've talked about that on my podcast, so see the link below if you want to listen to my podcast. I'm on Spotify and Apple and Amazon and any other platforms that take me. I'll leave the link below if you would like to listen to that. It'd be absolutely fantastic if you can. Always pleased with feedback if you can. Anyway, yeah, it was inspiring. It was amazing seeing such unity in the stadium, that it was everybody, every Everton supporter in that stadium with them cards up. At the beginning, before the game, when the Premier League boards came out with and the banner itself for the Premier League got completely, booed and whistled, and it was so loud I had to turn my hearing aids down. So because it was so loud, it was actually sending my head a little bit of a spin. But it was amazing, and in 10 minutes as well when we did it again, and and especially the first half of that game where the referee was just a few of us around just said, is he been paid? Is he been paid off by the Premier League? Has the Premier League been on the phone to him and said, don't give them anything? And it was not great. Okay, we got a couple of decisions in the second half that went our way a little bit, but the performance by the referee, it just felt, was like, we all know what we've talked about the referees. That'll be another thing I'm going to just mention in this video about the game last night with Wolves and Fulham, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But it's just the whole purpose of that and why we feel as fans, not just because of the deduction, and as I mentioned in the podcast, mitigating circumstances that came to the reason why we breached and the rules, and basically why we were over 19.5 million, and to come with that kind of deduction, as I said, it the punishment doesn't fit the crime, and for me, hopefully it'll be rescinded. Hopefully appeals going in. I don't know at the moment. I know a lot of MPs are going to want it debated and in Parliament and want to get the independent regulator in as soon as possible, so the Premier League can be investigated and looked at, because there is corruption. Because when money's involved, and hundreds of millions of pounds of money, in an organisation like the Premier League, money coming from all over the world, from TV deals, from sponsors, from everything else, corruption is always looked upon as part of that, part of any kind of organisation like that. Not everybody, not all organisations like that, but it just feels, as I've mentioned before, about the Sly Six and the wanting to leave the Premier League, leave the Premier League a couple of years ago, and wanted to get involved in a breakaway, and and then just getting a fine and negotiating their own fine with the authorities. And I always found that was very strange and very baffling. And what happened at that period of time is, I have a lot of respect for a lot of the media out there. Some of the media are really, really good at how they're reporting, and a lot of really good journalists out there that do some great investigative journalism, and their reporting are fantastic, and I don't have any issue with them. but there was a lot of journalists, a lot of media out there that, at that time, they were first to go to bat when this breakaway was going to happen, and not just through the media and through journalists and everybody else, and fans and players and everybody else who were so opposed to this idea and so opposed to what was going to happen. But soon as they all backed down, those clubs, it was like back to normal, back to the usual things. Who they're going to sign, who's the best, who's going to win the league, who's going to do this, who's going to do. It was like as if nothing happened. And then when the story about the fines took place, they told the story as you would do, as it would be, but then it was like never really challenged. I never really saw on social media or any kind of media of any person saying or challenging why have they been fined, why did they been fined that amount of money, why were they able to actually sit down and negotiate that those fines, why. Nobody asked that question, nobody challenged that question at the time. So you see, this is where my thing with certain journalists come from, or the media like Sky, or TNT now, or any media channels out there, or newspapers, or social media channels, or websites, or any kind of media out there, which for some reason follow an agenda, follow a narrative, and follow what their editors tell them to do, and where they're getting that information, why they feel it's necessary to stick to certain agendas and not challenge the reasons. So after the points deduction, and after what happened on Sunday, this story needs to be in the news more and more, and it needs to be kept in the news more. It needs to be out there. So while local journalists, certain people in the media who are putting stories out about this, and the feelings that it's unjust, the points deduction, and unjust, and something needs to be done about it, and the Premier League needs to be asked questions as to why the Independent Commission came to that conclusion when there's so many holes in that investigation of the club. As I said before, yes, we have breached, we broke rules, but it shouldn't be 10 points. Everybody keeps on saying, look, Portsmouth got 9 points deduction for going into administration all those years ago. 10 points for a minor breach, if you think about it. Yes, it's still a breach. Why? My feeling is that the owner of Everton Football Club, Mashiri, he should be made accountable for that, and it should be a fine, and he should be the one that making the pay. And that's what my feeling. I think fines should be levelled, and that's what happened. Leicester is a case in point when they came up to the Premier League several years ago, that they had a breach, and they paid the fine for similar, for a breach of rules, and the same scenario, same kind of MO, and because they were honest and open, and they weren't hiding anything or weren't cheating in any way in that sense. So and they just paid a fine, and everything's hunky dory in the world. But it's unprecedented, and it's just, I'm still baffled by it, and I'm still shocked by it, and I'm still trying to scratch my head and try and understand why it came to that. And the only other thing, that reasonings behind that, is that the Premier League want to prove a point. They want to say that we can do our job, that we don't need an independent regulator, and let us do our job, let us put the rules in place, let us do what we need to do. But and as I keep on going back, I've talked about this over and over and over again till I'm blue in the face. But something for me is that since Sunday, Sky didn't talk about the demonstration. They talked a little bit about it before the game, but they tried everything they can to minimise the cars that were put out. They tried to do everything they can to not show what was actually taking place. And so it was us as fans with our videos and pictures and everything else to actually put out there in the world that, you know, this is what's happened. And it was great that a lot of other media, local media and some national media did, you know, put the story out there, did talk about it. But since then, I think one of the things that bothered me and was Monday Night Football, and Jamie Carragher puts topics out, what they want to discuss. They didn't put the biggest story that's going around at the moment, which is the 10-point deduction, and they didn't put as part of their discussion. They just wanted to talk about that goal that United scored, that spectacular goal. They wanted to talk about that, what's the best goal and everything else. They wanted to talk about this, and want to talk about other things, and it was like off the radar. And then this is when I go to, you know, the game last night, and, you know, VAR again, another wonderful game where Wolves again get decisions going against them, where errors have been made by the referee and by the VAR in the truck with the decisions that were made. Shocking again, and it seems to be Wolves again, and it seems to be the same old, and it's just like never ending. Why is it, you know, if it's the top 6 clubs, the Slice 6, why is it when we've had the issue with the Tottenham-Liverpool game, where they're the two teams that are in that 6, and, you know, they get, you know, Tottenham get the win, and Liverpool should have had a goal, and it was a massive mistake by VAR. You know, what came out after that is that, you know, it was like, oh, we need something done now. Something has to happen. And, you know, calls for rematches, calls for, you know, we wanted to hear the audio. We get statements from Liverpool Football Club complaining about this, saying it's terrible, something has to be done about this. You can't keep on doing this. You know, what we're going to lose, we've lost points here because of a decision that's made. So you get the audio quite quickly, and then the Arsenal-Newcastle game is the next one. And then we've had other games in the Premier League where VAR have gone against Wolves, of course. You know, there's been other games. We've all talked about the United game when they should have had a penalty. There's been other games since then where, you know, decisions have gone against, you know, Wolves, and VAR have made mistakes, and all they get was apology. Oh, we're sorry. It was a mistake. It's happening every bloody week. It's happened to us. We've had one or two occasions where a decision has gone for us through VAR, and they have occasionally got them right, but it's just week in, week out. I can keep on going back to the Man City game the other season, where we had a blatant handball, and, you know, that could have given us a point against Man City at home. We needed the point at that time because we were obviously near the bottom of the table. But it would have been great to have that kind of, you know, a point. But no. All we got was an apology. There's been other... I could go on and on about incidences. And my opinion of this now is that VAR needs to go bye-bye. It needs to go this season. They need to just say, right, we've decided to leave it. Because when I talk about Everton and the points deduction and my feelings about it's a closed shop in the Premier League, it's all about the 6 teams at the top end, the Slice 6, the teams that seems to get all the decisions for them, seem to get, You know, like with Man City with their breaches, and Chelsea, and you know, Manchester United as well, and all the clubs that have financial issues or have issues that are being investigated or not being investigated and just let it slide. It seems to be that it seems to be that's where the money comes from. They're the main focus. They're the main people. They're the main clubs that brings us the money in to the Premier League, and us and the 14 other clubs can just shut up basically and just play in the league and just deal with it as is. But I just feel now, for the 14 clubs, they need to stand up. It feels like the 6 clubs are bullying the 14, and it feels like it's about time that clubs stand up. Everton stood up when the breakaway league was planned, and it seems to have backfired because as soon as we as a club stood up to it and felt that they should be given deduction in points and were relegated, or given something that would actually say you will not do this again, because you would have destroyed the sanctity of the pyramid of the English football. What should have happened, you see? So it seems to be like, well, let's go after them, because they actually, how dare they stand up to us? How dare they? And what needs to happen now? We've had Wolves and the situation they've had with VAR decisions, and they have now, as fans as well, if you go on social media, and fans, they're becoming more and more fed up. They are also starting to take banners into grounds about corporate Premier League, corrupt Premier League, and we're with them. We support them in what they want to do, and we're right behind them. And if we need more teams, we need other clubs who have also been wronged by VAR to start to stand up. If it's not going to be the clubs, it needs to come from the fan bases. It needs to come from you guys out there. If you listen to this podcast, if this video, and if I think that I'm speaking absolutely out of my arse, then so be it. But if you think that we need to do something about it, we need to get together. All the clubs that have been wronged in one way or another. Yes, it's through a breach, and we have done something wrong. But it's all down. It's nothing to do with that. It's more to do with the facts that we've been deducted points that are way overboard, and it shouldn't. If we have 3 points deduction, then we can kind of be a little bit acceptable of that. But even so, it's a financial sanction. It had nothing a sporting sanction, but that's by the by. But it's the principle of it, is that it's about time that we have an independent regulator. Needs to come in as soon as possible. We need to start challenging these 6 clubs, challenging the Premier League, challenge them, because if we don't, we're already seeing it week in, week out. The enjoyment of going to watch a football match is getting less and less. And, the way the world is at the moment, where your season tickets, or when you want to pay to go to a game, your season tickets going up and it's increasing. And all the clubs want to do, the 14 clubs, or want to try to compete or trying to be competitive enough to want to be able to challenge, able to go for titles. Why not? Why can't clubs want that? Why can't clubs want to be ambitious enough to get into Europe, to win trophies, to even challenge the top dogs? But at this moment in time, the last club to actually do it was Leicester, and you won't see that again, and you won't see it again. But there's clubs out there who have owners who got lots of money. They throw money at new players, and then it doesn't work, because the clubs that are at the top end, they've got more money than they have. They've been established further up the table, and they will always be the teams that will always be the ones that you would say they're going to be challenging for the title. And it's same old. There's never an opportunity for the likes of Aston Villa to come flying through, and they're doing well at the moment, and good luck to them. If they can keep that challenge going, it would be absolutely fantastic if they can break the status quo. But why can't other clubs like Wolves? Why can't they? Because it's Wolves. Why can't they be ambitious enough? Why can't they want to challenge that? Why can't Everton? Why can't other clubs in that 14 bracket? Why can't they be able to be named in that group to want, have an opportunity to win and get a good team together? It has to be even playing field, I feel, within the Premier League. It has to feel that everybody has an opportunity. Yes, there's always going to be teams that are going to get relegated. There's always going to be teams that are going to struggle. But that's the sport. That's the competition. But if you give everybody an opportunity, to at least compete, to, be ambitious enough and the want to win trophies, to want to, to get there, and even the fans to have, oh, we're in the Premier League, that's the best thing, we're in the Premier League. But don't think about anything else. You're just happy to be in the Premier League. Why can't a team that go into the Premier League actually want to think, we can get into Europe? What would you think? But instantly, as soon as you come in the Premier League, it's like the teams that have come up. You look directly at them, and instantly, we'll say, well, they're not good enough. They're going to go back down because they're not good enough team. They haven't got some, great players. They're not, and they compare them straight away to the teams that are at the top end and say, well, they've got better players. Why? Because they've been able to spend hundreds of millions of pounds on these players. Those clubs haven't, and that's where the imbalance is. And it needs to change in some ways to allow every club just to dream that at least they can fight above their weight, go, be able to compete a bit more. But we're at the moment, the Premier League is set in such a way that it doesn't have that. It has that imbalance, and it will continue to be that way until something changes. I just hope, for me, as I started this video, I talked about Everton, and I talked about the protests, and I talked about the deductions, and the feeling of, why we've been bashed with a brush, bashed with a stick so many times over the years. It just feels like easy target because we don't have a voice, and it feels like these 6 clubs do. They have a voice. They can do what they like. They get away with everything else. They get away with, and it just seems that way. And it's been designed that way. And in the world that we are, with big TV contracts worldwide, with billions of pounds of money coming into the Premier League, sadly, well, it's not sadly, but those 6 clubs, well, I would probably say, it's quite hard for me to say it, but Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal, those 3 clubs are established and been at the top end of the division for years and years and years and years, even before the Premier League. And likes of Tottenham, they're known as well, they're established, and Tottenham have won trophies in the past, but they're established. Man City have been successful for over the last 10 years or so. Chelsea as well, they've been a little bit longer than that. But if you look at the history of football, those 3 have never really been, winning multiple titles, multiple trophies year in year, and so Manchester United, probably Liverpool, Arsenal are third in that list and are more known. So the worldwide fan base, they will follow those teams. They will follow the teams who are always winning trophies and winning titles, and they will follow those 3 teams, plus they will also follow Chelsea, and they'll follow Man City, Tottenham are just part of that group. No disrespect to Tottenham. You know, they've got a great stadium and they are doing quite well this season, and they do have a fan base as well. You know, they do have that as well. But that's where the money comes in. So the 14 other clubs you see, when it comes to the TV money, they look at the money. They look at, oh, look at this, you know, we're going to get all this money, you know, from these TV deals because we're in the Premier League, and that's where we need to be because it's got all the money. And it'll enable us to do a lot more things, and that's what it's all about. But the reason is because those 6 clubs and the Premier League need them. But this is the story. Those 6 don't need the Premier League. That's why they wanted to break away. That's why they wanted to go into a European Super League. They wanted to break away. They wanted their own thing. They wanted more money, and because they felt they weren't getting most of the pie that they had in the Premier League, and also in Europe, in UEFA competitions. That's why they did it. That was the whole point of why they did it in private and kept it quiet from everybody. And it's making a decision time that when, you know, all the 20 clubs in the Premier League are all stakeholders. And it's time that these 14 clubs, including Everton, started to stand up and say, you know, we don't believe in this just because we get lots of money from TV companies, from the TV deals. We just feel there's something not right here, and they should be challenging it more than we are. Why is it always the fans that, you know, have to keep on challenging this through social media, through, you know, fan groups, through, you know, every other avenue that we can possibly can to get our views across, like we did with protesting, or, you know, getting our point across and fighting this. Something has to give, you know, and I'm just putting it out there to fans if they listen to this. You know, do you want to just sit idly by and just accept that, you know, you're in the Premier League, we're just happy with our lot, you know, we'll just keep on, we're just happy to be here? Or do you want to change it? You want to change the narrative, change the agenda, you know, because it's just going to continue on and on and on, and something has to give. And the only way it's going to happen, the only way it's going to improve is through the independent regulator. That needs to happen as soon as possible. And we as fans need to mobilise together. We need to start challenging the Premier League more and more and more. You know, it's just a joke. Yeah, anyway. That's my thoughts, my opinion. Feel free if you want to listen to my podcast. It's the Rambling Toffee, and it'll be in the link below. Let me know what you think. You probably think I'm speaking absolutely out of my arse. So be it. You know, it's just my view. It's just my personal opinion. But it's just coming to a point that I'm getting fed up with it. I'm falling bit by bit, falling in love out of the game that I've been supporting since I was 7 years old. And you know, it something has to change. But to make it change, we have to make that change. Everton have done their bit for us regarding the points deduction. Wolves are starting to challenge, VAR and challenge PGM at OL, and probably challenging the Premier League regarding decisions that have been going against them all season, because they could have been further up the table if things worked out in their favour, and decisions went against them. That's a different thing. That's more about on the field, about VAR itself. But we need other clubs, because to make other clubs fans, we need to get together. We need to put that tribalism to one side. We need to all get together as one and start thinking, what can we do to change this? Because if the independent regulator is going to be a year away after the general election, hopefully it won't be the case. We need to get together and start doing this at your ground, start getting the banners out, start pushing this, telling the Premier League, telling even the media, because they just follow their own agenda of the 6 clubs. That's what it's all about. It's all about them, and it's nothing to do. And that's what it's all about. That's what pays the money. But we need to get our game back, so we can actually go to a game and be entertained by it and enjoy it for what it is. Because at the moment, it's just going further down, and it's going to lose a lot of fans as time goes on. And it's just a matter of time. So anyway, that's me. Hope let me know what you think below. What you think about anything I've said today. Anyway, so thanks for listening. Thanks for seeing. Thanks for viewing. This is the Rambling Toffee signing out, and I'll speak to you soon. So take care. Bye bye.